Evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in through the overtime of Atlanta Hawks basketball. It's 9:05. It's time for the What's on Joe Mind team stream. We're here with you again. We've got our special guest, Ace Allgood, with us. We'll talk to him some more after you watch our kick-ass theme song. Stay with us. Welcome to What's on Joe Mind. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. We are a fan cast about the world of G.I. Joe. How's everybody doing?
It's
kind of
Come on, I'm here. This is exciting. This is fantastic. Ace is here.
Right.
See, look, Ace is here.
Right?
Here.
Ace
I never know what direction.
Be insulted by Phil's lackluster intro.
Yeah,
but enough about Phil. We'll here in the top row, the honcho Mark Weber is on assignment this week. So joining in the top row, fresh off of his birthday celebration, he just woke up from the hangover.
Well,
right. Too much cherry Coke. I don't know. But rack time, Rob.
hello, everyone. It's Yoo-hoo time.
Right. That's how wild things get around these parts.
That's a surprisingly clear liquid for a Yoo-hoo.
It's new crystal Yoo-hoo.
That sounds
The hard stuff.
Disgusting.
delightful.
It's been clarified with lie.
Ooh.
Rack time, Rob, you got anything cool for your birthday?
Well, let's see. I got a gift certificate to the comic book store
That's right, because I got him that. But
and a steak.
right. And meats. You get yourself anything cool?
No.
All right.
I mean,
We haven't seen
I was sick with a cold right before then, and I was busy.
right. It was a crummy week beforehand, so it's we haven't even seen the family yet, so there is no love for Rack Time Rob just yet, just age. Age and infirmity.
We age gracefully. That's what we do here on webcast world.
Right.
That's what you do.
Unquote.
I'm falling apart.
In the bottom row, brought in to sub for the honcho tonight. He is our super sub, the host of Articulated Points. One of the hosts of Articulated Points. It's Biff McHonky Donk himself. Phil Donnelly is with us.
Hey.
I can give Phil noogies.
Yeah. No.
It's just the noise the boy would make.
So any truth to the rumor that Mark is actually taking your place at Disneyland while you're here?
I can neither confirm nor deny such allegations.
Yeah, Mark's not at Disneyland. He's skiing somewhere. He might be in your neck of the woods, Ace, out in Minnesota world.
Really? There's not a whole lot of snow here right now. It's kind of an odd winter here in Minnesota.
Joining us from the frozen north, he is, frankly, I know of no greater 1/6 scale G.I. Joe expert. If he doesn't know about it, he knows the guy who knows about it. It's Ace Allgood, ladies and gentlemen, back from. It's been a few years since you've been with us, man.
Okay, I do want to make a point about that. The last time I was on, it was pre-television. I was sitting and we were all on our telephones or talking that away, and it was quite different. So I have to behave. I have to worry about my image. I have to worry about what T-shirt I'm wearing, and all that stuff. I do want to say about my T-shirt.
You need pants.
I do. I won't stand up. I do want to talk about my T-shirt. If you guys all know Buddy Finethy, are you guys familiar with the name Buddy Finethy? But he's one of the original guys that started out Toylanta. He's a great artist, an amazing artist, actually. He's been kind of sick, and so he's getting better, and I just want to send him out some good vibes out there, and I hope the Joe world send him some good love, because he needs it from everybody, but he's doing good. Yep.
Absolutely.
Andrews sees my Defenders of Bullet Man shirt, and this is a Buddy Finothy original Buddy Finothy shirt. So
Garrison is probably our most steadfast 12-inch collector who's here every week.
He and I have a great tradition going way back that he's always finding. Oh, hey, a 3 3/4 guy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Andrew and I are always exchanging strange 1/6 scale weird items from around the world, like I don't know, crowns and fans and weird 1/6 scale things that you find in the universe, which is always fun.
I mean, technically, if you want to be technical about it, rather, Rob and I, our first GI Joe was Bullet Man, way back in the day. I couldn't have been more than 2 years old.
It was our first and, almost last until 1982.
Right. I mean, certainly was. But there were 2 Bullet Men in the Irizarry house growing up.
That's pretty impressive, especially, and I wonder if it kind of helps tie the comic book thing together too, because, I mean, he sure is a comic book character, and that's interesting. Funny. Did he fall apart when you were a little kid? Do you remember?
He fell apart when I was an older kid.
Yeah, he hung in there a pretty long time. Even today, there's people that restring those old Joes. So,
oh yeah,
I mean, he could be fixed if we found the pieces.
They have the technology,
right? It's
yeah.
there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I cannot. I will not disparage Bullet Man in our airspace. He holds a special place in our hearts.
I love me some Bullet Man. All hell, Dob.
Right? We did not have. There were no other 12-inch Joes in the neighborhood, but there were other.
Really?
We had some 12-inch Star Wars. We had 12-inch Mego guys.
Yeah.
So there were other guys for Bullet Man to hang out with, but unfortunately no other Joes.
I think we have both Garrisons in tonight.
Wow, we do.
Yeah, Charlie's bragging on Bullet Man as well.
Yeah.
See, little Bullet Man love is always good for everybody.
I would flip if they did Bullet Man for classified. I'd be on him in a second.
Complete with bare legs.
Absolutely.
I certainly would buy that. Maybe that's the big announcement tomorrow.
Josiah Alcorn says, this week we're pronouncing Andrew's last name Garrison. I always call Andrew Garrison Garrison. That's how he was introduced to me many, many years ago, even before the days of What's on Joe Mind. I go back a long ways with Andrew Garrison. And so he's always been Garrison, right? And then a couple years later, I met Charlie, and he was introduced to me as Charlie. So that's how I will always call Charlie Garrison Charlie. And that's how it works. It doesn't make any sense, but it's not going to, and that's just how it is.
Wow. That's interesting.
Zaymot CGC notes that Bullet Man sounds like a bad guy. No, he was absolutely one of the angels.
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was a little strange. What I think is really funny about the Defenders of Bullet Man kind of club is they've made a lot of like really goofy, like little add-on pieces and kind of what if items that were out there, which is kind of fun. There's like Steve Stovall made a playset one time that included the thimble with the, if you ever see the Bullet Man commercial, it kind of flies down and crashes through. And which reminds everybody, I don't know if anybody was at the convention where Don Levine, they actually put a Bullet Man on a string on the fishing wire all the way across the lobby, and they launched it across and had to dodge security. And thank God, old Grandpa Don Levine was there to tell the security guy, "Hey man, everything's cool." It was fun.
Missed that one.
It was fun.
Yeah, no, we didn't catch that one. The only run-in I can remember having with hotel security was when Dave Tree went into restricted areas to try and get parachute figures.
Yeah, see the parachute drop back in the good old days.
We figured it was a good idea to not get our friend who is here from a foreign country to not let him get arrested. So that was the only time I ever had a run-in with hotel security.
Yeah, jail and GI Joe is not a good combination. Yeah.
Oh, it's not. That's not why you want to go to prison anyway. That's for sure. They do bad things to you. Well, I'm here because I tried to pick up some action figures. Oh no, son, no. It's a bad plan. You're going to get cut.
In Dave's defense, he was not plowing over, like a 5-year-old.
No, he was
picking stuff out of shrubbery.
Yeah, he was just trying to go, and he was trying to do so. He was trying to go to places he was not allowed to go to. So he was not hurting children to get his grubby hands on toys. Actually, what it was in Dallas where they had those
the elevators.
The elevators and the sculptures were down low, and he was trying to knock one of them off of that small sculpture, and so they got on him for standing on the base of it to do that, and it was good times. I had to run some interference on that one, kind of like a rodeo clown, just.
He's English. He knows none of our ways.
Need some Benny Hill music while you're playing. That's going on.
That's about right. That was back in the days when I had a chance of outrunning somebody. I was
standing in the back towards the fountain in that hotel because it was in Dallas, wasn't it? And there was a lot of parachutes that did not open, and I mean those things were just flying down into that fountain. It was like, good Lord.
Yeah. They were their own. So kind of like watching an old synchronized swimming scene from the 40s.
I remember at that show later that night, we took our 12-inch guys and went upstairs and threw our guys. And one of my guys went into the elevator chute, and I had to get a little security help to get the guy out. But I didn't go to jail or nothing. But
No, I think I remember. I remember seeing them do that for you too.
Yeah.
They got the cleaning crew was out with the broom handles
the big, doing all that stuff.
Yeah,
it had a little grease. It's kind of like had like the red badge of courage had grease on its like his leg. So from the elevator shaft.
It was good times.
Yeah, it's all fun and games. So that guy got stolen at Joanna.
Oh,
that's a whole nother story. We won't go down that dark path. Anyway, welcome to guys. Thanks for coming over tonight.
Dustin Jeffrey notes that he always roots for the Bulls against the rodeo clowns. Well, come on, man.
He also wanted a Rainbow Bright discussion, and we were out on that. Sorry.
Right, we're trying to fight the power here, guys. Don't be rooting for the 5-0 against your old pal Mike. Come on.
5-0.
No. Oh.
5-0 an hour.
Right. A 5-0.
Oh. All right. Somebody asked if this was Dallas. This was Dallas long ago, many years ago. Gosh, I can't.
10 years ago now, man.
Oh, I bet it was. Yeah. It would have been. That would have been the 50th anniversary, wouldn't it have been?
Yes.
Yeah. That's wow. That's weird how you remember those days.
Still have my little wooden plaque over there.
I like that show. That was fun.
It was the one where we met Joe Colton for the first time.
Yeah.
She cursed at me across an empty lobby, so it echoed. Had never spoken a word to me before, but there were the F-bombs just right in quick succession across the spacious open lobby, so that they rung out for everyone to hear.
She offended the gentle sensibilities of Texans.
Right.
Ooh, wow, that's saying something.
Right. You can do a lot of things, but just don't launch those F-bombs. What do you say? We've wasted enough of the world's time. Let's go into the community calendar. Prepare yourself for this, Ace.
Community calendar. Community calendar.
All right, that one's not too bad. But
yeah, that was pretty sedate.
I'm
that was the anthropomorphic chicken nugget.
Right. That's Staff Sergeant C-Nugs for the record. Staff Sergeant C-Nugs. Call him by his proper name.
Or at least his Funko Pop equivalent.
That's the Deke Productions version of Staff Sergeant C-Nugs. Absorbvids has subcontracted out the animation to Deke. So Anyways, first up, it's an online event, but Renegade Con's 10th anniversary is March 1st. We told you about this in news last week. Here it is in community calendar this week. Cool deal. But as you can see there, the deck building game for, or rather the Silent Interlude expansion for the deck building game. They'll talk about that some. They'll also get into the expansion for Mission Critical called Cobra Ascendant. It's got Bazooka and Rock and Roll and some other guys in it, so lots of explosion. That is happening on YouTube on March 1st on the Renegade Game Studios channel. The action games happen at 3 p.m. Pacific. So synchronize your watches. That should be when we get a look at all the new G.I. Joe goodness. Dustin Jeffrey asks, is the Deke version of Phil going to be Oliver from Oliver and Company? No, they can't afford Oliver from Oliver and Company.
No, Oliver and Company had music written by Billy Joel. They don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, it's Deke. You get
80s Disney was still Disney.
Yeah, it's still pricey.
It ain't cheap.
I'm getting Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates.
Maybe if you're lucky. You get the dog from Inspector Gadget.
You're getting a cat.
Hey, Ace, Ben Conway wants to know when he gets to eat barbecue with you again.
I will go down to Rochester anytime, my friend. Boy, you've got the world famous Ben Conway as a listener on this show. My word.
It happens sometimes.
That's a fantastic guy that has some really amazing stuff. My word. He's done some cool stuff in the toy world, hasn't he?
He has. It's been a good year for the folks at Skeletron. I still got my little dude here on my desk.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm up for a little. We go down there and have. God, what's the guy's name? I can't remember. There's some guy's barbecue down there, and I just love eating there. All right, I will call you up, Ben. You're on, my friend, because I'm a retired guy now.
Does this mean Skeletron has to make a 12-inch Wolf Trooper?
Ooh, go for it.
I like that idea. Yeah, we'll do a little John Hardy barbecue. That's right, John Hardy's barbecue. That's where we meet. It's awesome. Rochester's finest.
We don't. We're not getting anything for that. That is not a paid advertisement, but it's good barbecue, so it gets on the screen.
2 thumbs up, piracy.
That's right. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Two-time All-Pro quarterback Steve Young asked, "Did I miss the video of Mike being mauled by the feline brute?" No, you have not. That is probably coming later. Probably later. Anyways, next up, New Jersey Collector Con's on March 2 and the 3. That is in, of course, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, at the Scenic Holiday Inn. Parking is free, of course. Admission and info can be found at histank.com or at their Facebook page, NJCC. Their guests include our good friend Carson Metaxas and many, many more. Again, get all the information at histank.com or at the New Jersey Collectors Con Facebook page.
Fun fact, that picture was taken in 2 seconds before his arms buckled under the weight of that heavy book.
Right. Carson's been in a back brace since they took this picture because that book is insanely heavy. Cheapest Big Spender wants to know, is it weird to cosplay as barbecue to eat barbecue? Asking for a friend.
I'd be impressed, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
The rubber suit stops the stains.
Right? And the face mask keeps you from going overboard. There's only so much pulled pork you can get in through the eye.
That's right.
You have to save some for the Viper.
Yeah. Diana remembering about Bullet Man. That was at which show was that? I can't even remember which town that was in. Was that San Francisco?
Fairfield.
Wow.
Was that Colorado? No.
It's funny when you go to as many crazy collection or go to as many crazy conventions. It's like you forget. Yeah, they start. That's a good thing. I guess we're getting old.
Right. It's just she found the She found the question San Francisco, she says, but it was Fairfield.
There you go. Yep, there you go.
But she did found the correct question to reduce the cast of What's on Joe Mind to doddering old dudes. So
I remember
it was 07, I think.
Back when I played with toys.
San Francisco. Did you drive or did you flew?
Ace, how many Joe Cons did you make it to?
I made Brian Savage's shows. I went to every one except for his first one, which was in San Jose. And then of the Mars shows, I went to the 94 Intrepid show, and I went to the 96 Space show at Space City.
Oh, wow.
And the first show that I sold at was the Irvine show in 99. And I sold pretty much at every show after that. Then when I retired from my real job, so to speak, I started going to doing all the other shows as well. I was doing like Toylanta before that. And then now I do Louisville and Dallas and try to do all that stuff. Super fun.
I do regret not going to the Irvine show, because that was apparently the last time they were going to have a G.I. Joe convention in Southern California. But didn't know it at the time.
Right.
And how would you get to Irvine, Phil?
I would take the 91 to the 55 to the 5.
But the 5 will be jammed.
The 5 is always jammed.
I got engaged at the Irvine show. That was a big show for me. Yeah.
Jesus.
So, yeah, crazy, huh? And anyway, but I really, that was the first show. I drove there from Minneapolis to Irvine, and that was super fun. I had a great time doing that.
Did you take the 10 in?
I think I did. It was a long drive. I remember that.
That is a long way. I would go absolutely insane driving in a car that would one trip that long.
I was by myself. I love it, man. I love driving to Atlanta. I love driving to shows. It's super fun. You put the book on tape on and just roll, man.
I used to have I really did. When I was younger, I was a real road warrior. I went to college about 6 hours from here. And so I got conditioned to it. But it just, as I get into my early 40s, it started to go away. Like my patience for driving has withered over the years.
Mike, we need the comment by Sean Russell put up.
Yeah, I'm not on that page. Do not cosplay Marauder's barbecue in front of the honcho. He will unsuccessfully try to sell you for months. Well, maybe.
And he'll sign you.
He will sign you. Jake Rose notes, engaged. Way to set the collector's expectation.
Well, here's the reason why. I mean, you think about it. If you indoctrinate her into the toy thing and you go, look, I'm hanging out at this toy show. Look, this is what I'm doing. And if you know what that's all about, then she's like, okay, see you later. Have fun.
And you associate that with a happy memory.
Oh, it was. It's great. It was fun. Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the night we went to Knott's Berry Farm.
That is that also may be the last time that something like that happened to anyone at a toy convention.
Oh, dear.
Anyways, next up. Hey, Awesome Con's happening on March 8th to 10th. Our good friend Joe Colton is there as an official guest. Of course, she's shown here in promotional shots, not in a G.I. Joe costume, but whatever. We're happy for her all the same. That's at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C. I don't know if he's the Washington they named the town after. I'm not sure. Other guests include Arthur Adams, Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, Tom Kennedy, Jeff Loeb, Michael Rosenbaum, Tom Welling, Ming-Na Wen, The Ritzlock, Wes Whitlock, and many, many more. Tickets and information are available for you at awesome-con.com. So really, this is one of the bigger ones. You're going to have to pay to get in and for autographs on the big guns and stuff like that. But Joe Colton will be there as an official guest. So if you're going to Washington, if you're going to Awesome Con in Washington, you better stop by and say, hey. Otherwise, she'll find you. And she'll punch you.
That's awesome.
She has government resources.
Or she will drop F-bombs at you from across empty lobbies so they echo off the walls.
It's F-bombs of love.
I guess. I mean, we're still
think that was
talking
an
to her
Andrew Lloyd
after all
Webber
this
show.
time, so must be.
I was on a podcast a while ago, and I was accused of saying too many F-bombs. So I'm doing my absolute best to say no F-bombs tonight.
I mean, you don't have to go with none. Sporadic F-bombs. I mean,
Well, apparently I was a little out of control. So
I mean, cursing is fucking funny, Ace. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Much like the PG-13 rating, there is an acceptable level of F-bombs we take.
I agree. And it's like I was just making a point, and I got passionate about what I was talking about. And passion is good.
Right?
The swear jar. If I had to pay for a swear jar, I would be broke. That's all I'm going to say. That's why we have a swear jar there. That is why we don't have a swear jar, because I don't believe in those things.
Well,
the
collection of What's on Joe Mind coffee backers are the swear jar ears.
Swear jar ears. That's good.
Because in previous times when Joe Colton was on every week, she would just start off the show cursing enough, and I'd have to shake a jar of change to remind her that she owed for the change jar, and so we decided that was what our backers were going to be called, because they were paying Joe Colton's way out of the swear jar.
That's why she's not on anymore, by the way. It's not the pregnancy thing. It's just you can't afford it.
Not the baby.
Torpedo Mike asks, are throat punches free? Throat punches are entirely too free.
Yeah.
They're
Very
very
often
free.
she's paid to not throat punch.
Right.
The old throat punch.
Payne's Toy Sample says, evening all. Well, evening, Payne's Toy Samples. So again, if you're anywhere close to Washington, D.C., get yourself to AwesomeCon. Visit with Joe Colton. Say, hey, reminder that she's on a G.I. Joe podcast. And for the record, I'd be saying this if she was here. So
yes, you would.
Before anybody gets all upset, I would be doing this if she was here.
Really, you'd be worse.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably so.
I mean, I've seen that.
There would be more swearing.
Yeah, I'm doing my best not to get anywhere near anyone's cursing record. Although I wish if Joe was here, I would probably be cursing a little bit more, because like one gets the flow going.
Right.
So, wow, I'm impressed with how many things are going on here.
All right. Hey, man, we put it out for it's community calendar. The people out there, they let me know. So if they've got something for the calendar, we put it on the calendar. If we start getting to the point where there's too many things for the calendar, it'll be its own show. But March 9th and 10th at the Kerr Scott Building in Raleigh, North Carolina. That is Toys, Pokemon, Comics, and Hot Wheels all going on from the folks at Inside Pitch Promotions. Saturday is from 9 to 4, Sunday from 10 to 4. $5 for one day or $8 for the whole weekend. It's a bargain at twice the price. Free parking at all shows. You want to find out the rest of the Inside Pitch calendar? They're at InsidePitchPromo.com. I got a letter earlier today. I didn't have enough time to get it into this week, but we got some pictures from the last Inside Pitch show from Michael Gene Fleming. So next time we do post sock, we'll have those pictures to show off to everybody. Matt Rubin asks, are we accepting things for April yet? If so, there shall be emails. We'll take things whenever, man. I got a calendar. If you send me something for April, it might not show up for a couple of weeks, but I'll certainly take whatever you want to send along. Again, that email, what's on Joe Mind at gmail.com gets it done. Yeah, anything you want to send to us, whether it's a community calendar updates or you got letters for the mail call, or you got just customs you want to show off, anything. We'll put anything on here. We're a community show. What's on Joe Mind at gmail.com. Didn't think I'd have that one prepared, did you, Ace?
No, I'm impressed with that one.
Not his
Quality
first
marketing.
rodeo.
No, I like that.
Cheapest Big Spender says the free parking for this is in Mayberry. Yeah, probably.
Don't go to the valet parking named Otis.
You know, it's a bad way to lose a fender. Oh. Diana notes, we had a not speaking Spanish in class jar every time my Spanish in my high school Spanish class. Senora Bazan made us put money in every time we slipped, promising a pizza party when it was full, ensuring our failure. Failure at speaking Spanish or failure at obtaining a pizza party? I'm unclear.
I would assume the speaking Spanish part.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how many pizzas did you get?
Right?
It's a school pizza, so it's one slice about that wide.
One pepperoni, one cheese.
It's that rectangle that everybody gets all reminiscent about.
Coated in a thick layer of orange grease.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff.
The crust is 100% recycled cardboard.
Right. You could roll it up into a nice pizza roll.
Ugh.
Love it.
Oh. And of course, Toy Man happened in the same weekend. That's out in my old stomping grounds in St. Louis, out by the airport in Bridgeton, Missouri. That's 2 stories of toy dealers in the Machinist Hall on March 10th from 9 to 2. $5 gets you in the door. $15 gets you for early bird for an hour earlier. Parking is free and plentiful. And of course, Dave Draper hugs are priceless. Yeah, and I gotta touch base with Dave. I gotta make sure he's going to this one so we can actually have people collect and take pictures. all last winter, I was telling people, "Hey, find Dave Draper for a 0% discount," and Dave wasn't going. Dave wasn't there.
That was the ultimate con.
I guess.
You have him looking all over. He's very good at hiding.
I'm turning him into a low-level celebrity, and he's not even at the show. I'm pimping him out to be. All right. But again, you can't miss with Toy Man. You're anywhere close to St. Louis, get yourself to Toy Man. It is a great show. They do it 8 times a year now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, the Machinist Hall is a big building, 2 stories. They fill them both with toy dealers, artists, craftspeople, all kinds of stuff. They got toys going back to the 30s and 40s, Ace. It would be, it's really something. If you're ever around St. Louis, do it on a Toy Man weekend. You can't miss him. He's got that huge drum. That's true. There are usually some form of Ghostbusters vehicles parked out front. But Ace, you're going to say.
Well, no, one of my really good friends spends a lot of time in St. Louis on business, and I'm sure he'll be there some Saturday. And I got to tell him that I got a couple friends that live there. I'm sure they know about it, so I'll have to ask them about it.
Well, Toy Man is always Sunday, so if they're looking on Saturday, it's not going to happen.
Well, that's okay.
Sunday from 9 to 2.
He usually drives on Sunday, so I have him come in a day early, play with toys.
There you go.
And if Dave Draper hugs are priceless, wow. There you go.
And he seldomly charges for them.
Wow.
I can't say never, but seldom.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I mean, Dave's got to eat, right?
That's fair. Yeah, we don't begrudge him.
Yeah.
Cheapest Big Spender says 8 times a year. Maybe they never leave. No, because I've been to the Machinist Hall when they weren't there, and it made me very sad. Very, very sad.
Interesting. Love it.
I need a building with enough toys to where it's a fire hazard. Damn it! And that's that's what Machinist Hall. That's what the Machinist Hall Toy Man brings me. I'll not have this empty Machinist Hall business. Was it full of machinists? No, but it was full of portraits of old machinists.
Even better.
Right.
It's a common misconception that the Machinist Hall is full of machinists. It was actually made from machinists.
Right. Like they have painted portraits of whoever the president of the Machinists Union was in the 1880s. up in the machinist hall, all the way through the 60s and 70s. So yeah,
some guy in a leather apron and a handlebar mustache getting beaten on by the Pinkertons.
That's right.
And
now
that'll teach you to strike.
St. Louis is an old town, and sometimes you run into that really old town stuff, and it's always enjoyable when you do. Diana says, sort of like the entrance to the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. I guess that's why the Ghostbusters chapter is so active there too.
That makes sense.
Got to quiet that ominous organ music. It keeps coming up.
Just make the elevator work right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for community calendar. That's all we got.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now, there's 2 more big shows in March you got to talk about, dude.
Okay.
I mean, are you ready? Something. Ready? Toylanta is coming up. That's coming up at the end. I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of March.
I was going to add it next week.
And then Xenia is the week after that. We're going to add that one too. That
one I didn't know about. No.
The Great Ohio Toy Show is, I believe, the 29th, 30th, or the 30th, I believe, is the day. I'm doing that for the first time this year, so
awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. Do you guys go to that one at all?
I haven't been yet, and frankly, my schedule makes it weird to I have to take a whole week off to get to any of these things. So it's a difficult get. But if there's one that I was going to try to get to, that is one. So I can't say I'm in, but I won't say I'm out either.
That's fair.
You never know. But
he's standing in the entrance door.
Sorry, I got lost in live chat there. But But yeah, that's it for community calendar. I do have the slides for them ready. I just figured it any more than a month on some of this stuff. It's too long. I can't talk about this stuff week after week after week. I'm not that creative. I can't make fun of Phil that much in that context.
I just feel bad for
the context of the Kentuckiana GI Joe.
Right.
The KY Joe Show.
KYGIJoe.com.
It's slippery.
Slide on in.
Slide on in, baby. It's a great show. Phil, you should get out of California and come on out sometime. We'd love to have you. It
was a great show. I dare say that was one of the better Joe rooms I have been in, full stop.
I agree, man, and that's what's so great about that show and the summer show is I think it's kind of much like Joe Fest is for the 3 3/4. I mean, the thing I like about the Louisville show, it does have both. It really does have 12-inch stuff and 3 3/4 stuff, kind of along the lines the way that the bigger Joe Lantas were back a few years ago before they kind of went to Toylanta. Right. I think Steve Stovall puts on an amazing show. I think this summer they're going to have a fantastic 60th anniversary show with having Daryl DePriest give a talk, and I know they're talking about having several people give discussions and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be really an exciting event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if they're looking for panels, we know a team full of schlemiels who'll be happy to get up and goof off for an hour.
But do you know any schlemazzles?
A couple.
Okay.
He's on vacation.
If I'm agreeing with Jake Rose, I assume he's saying he has nothing bad to say about it. I assume he's talking about the Louisville show, so I will say there's nothing bad about it. No, I mean,
no, he's making a condom joke about KYGI Joe. No condemnation.
Oh man, I'm slow, dude.
Sorry, it took me a minute to get over there.
It went over my head, I was a little slow today. Jake, that was clever. I wasn't.
Zaybot says I need to check out a Kentucky Joe show. I only live an hour from Louisville.
Oh, you have to.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as we plug that show, you needed to be there. especially with Brian and myself in attendance. No less. In attendance.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's a great show. And if it's only an hour away, there's no reason not to go. And the parking's free, from what I understand.
The parking is,
in fact, free.
Yeah,
as it is with all great shows.
It's a big perk around here. It's free parking.
Oh, Ace, there's so many running jokes on this program. We'd have to set aside a whole episode just to get you caught up on those.
That's right. See, everything's going over my head, but that's all right. I'll take it.
Hey, get ready for. Speaking of going over your head, that's it for community calendar.
Community calendar. Community calendar. Community calendar. Community calendar.
I'm on a bus on a psychedelic trip.
Community calendar. Community calendar.
Dude, that's art. That was art.
I agree. Community calendar brought to you by Roma Collectibles, the official traveling vintage toy retailer of What's on Joe Mind. You can see the store hours there for Roma Collectibles, the toy store. They're closed Monday and Tuesday, but they are open Wednesday through Saturday, 12 to 7, Sunday, 12 to 5 in Springfield, Ohio. Always buying, always selling. Do not let them bite you. Just no biting. They will try. Please, you can see all the bared teeth from both Aaron and Mary Mercenary there. Do not let them approach you with bared teeth. That is, get the squirt bottle out and just.
That's how they get employees for the store.
Right. You don't, unless you want to work there.
They're really nice people.
They're wonderful.
Yes,
They are nice people.
That's why I put them in a banner and say, "Don't let them bite you."
and
I
at
think,
the next show, they'll be go, Mike, why are people worried about us biting them?
They do watch the show, Rob, so I think they're aware of when it comes.
I think it's when people come to them with spray bottles. That's when you got to worry.
Start treating them like disobedient cats.
That's right.
Get off the counter.
Meow.
Which is sometimes something you have to scream at them. But speaking of cats,
Meow. 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 Meow.
Wow. That's more art.
You sure about that?
yeah, I'm kind of with Phil on that one. It's time for the news. All right. Rob, are you ready? Because I don't have
ready.
a hunter here to make noises. So.
Okay.
All right. You need to do any vocal exercises,
No, I'm good.
like the Duncan Munchkin spear, anything like that?
No, I don't do the acting exercises anymore.
All right. That's good. We can tell. First news item.
Do, 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 do.
Hey, this is what we were talking about pre-show with Ace. Remember, pre-show is the best show, and you don't get to see it. But Thursday the 29th, that's only 9 days from now. Looks like Entertainment Earth is hinting at some kind of reveal, some kind of pre-orders being made available for G.I. Joe Classified. They got this stuff going up all month long, and God only knows if any of it's connected to G.I. Joe or not. We're pretty confident this one is classified from the wording that's in there. We'd love to give you a clue about what's being launched on Leap Day, but we're told that it is classified. Wink, wink. You should sign up for a reminder so you'll be first to know what these are as soon as they go up for sale. So you can go over to Drop Zone on the Entertainment Earth website and set yourself a reminder. for what will most likely be G.I. Joe goodies on pre-order. Phil, what do you think we're going to see?
Oh, I am hoping for some new sculpts, maybe some Mad Marauders announcemos.
Is that what you want? You want confirmation for those sightings from 2 weeks ago?
The sooner they make them official, the sooner we can at least acknowledge that they exist and move on with our lives.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Phil's only in this hobby for the closure.
That's right. It's all emotionally strenuous.
I'm going to hope for the best and hope it's Bullet Man, but I don't think my odds are good.
No, I would say that that was low. I don't want to say 0, but certainly
Zero.
Although there may be an action pilot or action marine for all we know.
They wouldn't do something like that.
They have put up pre-orders. We've already seen the Action Soldier and Action Sailor.
Action Sailor's in some people's hands already.
Yeah. So I'm sure Action Marine and Action Pilot are coming in the classified series. So.
And now are these at the stores?
The spirit of the original Joes, yeah.
At the store?
Phil, are those are those?
They're all pre-order.
Or?
I want to say they'd be at stores, but they'd be at the deluxe point, so you might not see them everywhere. I know it's Entertainment Earth, I think, is the one that shipped already. Okay.
But yeah. You can check that out, Ace, at any of your good toy retailers online. I don't know if they're going to be in general retail or not, but
I forget.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch our own news segment on it. I can't keep track of this stuff. Keep track of it. They put up pre-orders and I click and I order and then I forget things.
Then they show up.
Then they eventually show up. Eventually. Although that's been far less of a wait time in the last 6 months than it had been before. That's for sure. Anyways. Next news item. Hey, coming up. Oh, I accidentally clicked on a mid-conversation there. Okay. But more news as it happens by David Gillis and Brian Hickey. That is ending soon. This is going to be the last time you catch it on our show. This is on Kickstarter right now. This is a collection of photographs from Dave Gillis with his collection. A lot of custom work being done in these photos. You can see that cool light blue Wolverine whirlwind combo down there in the bottom right. That's pretty neat stuff.
That is.
It's cool.
You got a whole book of this from our friend Brian Hickey and David Gillis. Phil, we'll toss to you as our junior Kickstarter correspondent. Where is this at?
Well, they're raising in British pounds, but Kickstarter automatically translates to dollars for me. So we're at $10,451 out of $17,230 for the goal, with 83 backers and 63 hours to go. So,
yeah, this one's getting a little tight.
Yeah.
So if you can help out on this one, by all means, please do so. You're running out of time to pledge. If you're on the fence about it, spread the word. Even if you're not going to pledge, get the word out there so that other folks know that it's there and have the ability to do so. Randy Ashley wants to know, Ace, how you been?
Wow, I haven't seen Randy in forever. Randy's my favorite train man from up north, man. Holy cow. Come down to Louisville sometime. We were just talking about the great Louisville toy show that everyone should pretend like is JoeCon. Just pretend like JoeCon is in Louisville on July 20th, I believe it is. And that'd be fun.
At the what's the name of that place?
Shepherdsville. It's in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, which is just south of Louisville.
Right. It was. Go ahead, Ace.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say I actually left my battery charger there, so I'm hoping it's there when I come back. So for my drill.
Wouldn't hold my breath, but
I've already
we'll
called
do
them. I've called them twice. They haven't returned my call.
No, I don't. I don't see that one working out for you. But the good old Country Inn and Suites there at the right next to the convention center was good stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. They have the sleep in is in one side of the parking lot, and the Country Inn and Suites is the other side of the parking lot, and the convention center is right there in the middle, and it's great, and it's free parking. And there's all kinds of food right around there too, which is actually pretty cool. And it's great fun to hang out and just see everybody visit.
Yeah, I was really I was impressed. I was not expecting to be impressed by that weekend and how everything was set up, but man, they got a good spot there.
They do. It was kind of cool. They had this at Winterfest. They had two icons of royalty from a 12-inch GI Joe collected. They had James D. Simone and Daryl DePriest in the same room, so that was pretty fun because we had the two great authors of two great collecting books, and that was super fun.
I got to have dinner with James D. Simone that night on Saturday with
Awesome.
Brian Lower, our good friend from HCC 788. I held the camera for his interview with James D. Simone.
Awesome.
And it was funny because James would pose questions back to Brian and then look at both of us back and forth like he's expecting me to say something. I'm just like, I'm on the other side of the camera going,
you're the fly on the wall documentary style.
just arm on the table, just rock steady, just looking.
Yeah.
But whatever. It was fun. He's a cool guy. We have stories to tell of that particular night. So maybe for another time.
Well, it was great to have. I mean, it's funny, you talk about shows and getting together and interacting with people. And that's the kind of the great thing about it. It was so great to have James there because I hadn't seen him in years. And, he'd been going through some health issues and his wife's health and all that stuff. And we all go through these kind of transitions and stuff like that. But it's still nice just to kind of come back and see your old pals and hang out like old times. And gosh, so I'm just trying to twist Randy's arm to come down to Louisville. So I hope to see you this summer.
Where's Randy normally hanging out?
He's normally in Canada, man. It's like he's afraid to come south of the border, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. Jesus.
I get whatever. Customs might not let him through. Who knows?
That's right.
But anyways, back to the point. David and Brian's book could really use your help. So again, if you're going to pledge, if you're on the fence, now is the time to get off of the fence and pledge. If you're not going to pledge, please help us out by spreading the word anyway. Get it out to all of your Joe circles, be that on Facebook or Discord or what have you. Whatever you do to socialize in your G.I. Joe and Action Force collector circles there. Make sure that they know about this project, and let's do our best to get the word out in these last few days as best we can.
Yeah, you really got to admire the art and the whole amount of work that they've put into this whole thing. My God, it looks impressive for what they've got already just for this, just to get the Kickstarter going. So
right,
I wish them all the luck.
And Brian's got that track record of putting out great books.
Mm-hmm.
He's put out the 2 Action Force books with Patty. That everybody's got those in hand, and those they have won much acclaim. His book with Bob Brecken is on its way in the next month, and I'm sure that's going to be a great one as well. So you're not going to be disappointed anytime you pledge a Brian Hickey project. He's that good with a camera. So really, if you're even thinking about it, I would say, and you got the money, of course, go for it, please. Let's make this happen. Next news item. Hey, look, it's another Kickstarter. The History of G.I. Joe number 21, an after action report book, is marching onward. Racktime Rob, as our senior Kickstarter correspondent, where does this one sit right now?
Okay, this one is currently sitting at $7,447 on a goal of $8,000 with 16 days to go.
All right,
it is
so
almost there.
pretty much in the bag, provided we don't have a mass exodus of people denying pledges. But it's been a nice and steady climb on this one. Should make it in the next couple of days, no problem. But that too goes until March 8th, so don't lose track of it. We'll certainly remind you the rest of the way. But let's go ahead and get this one sewn up. And again, there's options there. If you've missed some of the other After Action Report books, there's options there for you to get copies of them, as well as your copy of History of G.I. Joe 21. Just a wealth of information being collected by Josh and Roger about one of the most important comic books of all time.
Of all time.
No hyperbole. One of the most important of all time. Rack Time Rob, have you made your pledge?
No, I haven't yet.
Come on, man.
I know. I got to get in a.
Oh,
Maybe after I do my taxes this weekend. See how much I get back.
oh, it's like $40. Come on, man. You got $40.
I want to shout out Josiah said that he got the Bob Brecken book today. I got the Bob Brecken book. It is awesome. And I just it's just what a great guy and what a great story. And I think that's just a wealth of information that I need to know more about. And so it's just great to have that book out there.
It's no, Bob is fantastic. Have you ever met Bob, Ace?
Yeah, it's funny you asked if I met him. Well, I've done like something like this before, where I've talked on the phone with him, and because I have a mutual friend, a guy that knows him well, and who's put me on the phone with him, and just to learn things and to hear him talk and to hear him tell stories about 12-inch Action Man was quite thrilling. This was a great evening. I've always wished that he was able to come to one of the toy shows over here in the United States, but I also understand why he's not. And I'm hoping that I don't know. I was talking to the guys in England. Are they going to do something for the 60th anniversary? I think that's in a couple of years from now. And I'm hoping that they are, and I'm hoping I'll be there, and hopefully he'll be able to be there. So maybe that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Bob does show up every so often at shows over that way. I know our pal Dave runs a number of shows, and he's managed to get Bob out a few times.
Yeah,
I got to meet him for a rollout roll call several years ago.
Oh, great!
And he is awesome. Just absolutely one of the titans of not just of the business, but just a good guy. I mean,
yeah, and loves toys.
Yeah,
that's the other thing too.
Like it's I know it's cliche to say that you have to have some little kid in you in order to be a quality toy maker, but man, Bob Brecken he's got that in spades. It's just absolutely wonderful dude.
Yeah, wow, that must have been neat to see it funded. He was live on Toy Connection when it was funded, so you could tell it meant a lot to him. And yeah, again, it's just what a great guy. And that's the thing about toy collecting. Again, you the people that show up, it's like going to these toy shows. The people that show up, it's just great to get to know them because they have that similar thing in common with each one of us. And I mean, we're all nerds in the same way, man. I don't know if you guys got to know. Do you know Greg Auteur? I don't know if you know him, but he was in Louisville, and he lives in Ohio, and he's a toy designer that worked a lot on the 12-inch line at the end of the run, kind of the late 90s and early 2000s. And he's just a toy collector too. He's just a kid like the rest of us, and he's become a great friend and just a wonderful, wonderful guy with amazing stories about designing and coming up with ideas and how they come up with that creative process. Fantastic.
Yeah. I got to meet him. It was the last CoilCon that we did. He came out for that one.
Yeah.
And I got to meet him there. I didn't see him this past winter. I missed him this winter. But I did get to chat with him a little bit. I feel bad because we had preliminary discussions to get him on our program, and then things kind of fell apart for a little while there.
Well, if you need to get a hold of him, I will give you his information. He loves to talk about this stuff. I'll tell you, he's doing something that's really cool. I'll just tell you really briefly. I don't know if you guys know. Are you guys familiar with the Ghost Army of the D-Day invasion? Does this sound familiar to you guys at all? basically.
what Patton
Is
had?
that the phony army they had under the
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Big
the
inflatable
phony-
tanks.
and so what Greg is doing right now is making a inflatable tank that's 12 inches that will go with your GI Joe, and
Awesome.
it's Ghost Army. And he was actually, I don't know what, Mike, if you saw it when you were walking into the
Yep.
Louisville show, he had it all set up there. That's where he was kind of hanging out with that. So I strongly support him and what he's doing and all that stuff. So I love the fact that he's able to get this project off the ground. And so if anybody's into Ghost Army, and there's history in that, and it's fun to talk about that and learn about things, and that's kind of exciting.
Anything that made the Germans look bad in World War II, we're on board with.
That's right.
That's it.
Cool.
We're in.
Very
We're in.
cool.
They're still waiting for Patton to make that crossing. He's coming any day.
That's right. I know it's coming right here. I just did the Band of Brothers trip. I did the tour where you go through Normandy, and then we go through. I did it with my dad and a couple Joe buddies, actually, ironically, and we had just a fabulous time. And if you ever get the chance to do it, I couldn't highly recommend it enough. I also did a South Pacific trip a couple of years ago, a World War II South Pacific trip that was amazing. And I took my Joe and took photographs and made postcards. So if you're ever at a show that I'm at, come up to me and say, "Hey, show me your postcards," and I'll really bore you to tears while showing you World War II sites with GI Joes in them.
It's got a full slide projector right
No,
there.
dude. I have
carousels.
printed postcards. Not kidding.
Nice.
Really GI Joe on the top of Iwo Jima. Come on, dude. Think about that. Cool stuff. Next time you're at the show, come up and say, "Hey, show me the postcards." I'll say.
Right, every time I went past your table, you were busy. Like you had a crowd, man.
I was yakking. Well, that's that's part of the thing.
Right, that's the whole deal, isn't it?
That's right. That's why we're here.
Next news item.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
All right, we got comics coming out. Comics tomorrow. My local comic shop called me right 10 minutes before the show came on, leaving messages saying, "Buy your books or we'll cancel your pull list again."
Oof.
Anyways, Cobra Commander 2's tomorrow. Written by Joshua Williamson, pencils by Andrea Molina, Annalisa Leone. It is rated buzzworthy. You get it? Because buzzer's on the cover.
You got the wrong date there.
I do have the wrong date there, but it is due out tomorrow. So be sure to stop by your local store and pick that one up.
I think Real American Heroes tomorrow too, isn't it?
I maybe, I don't know. Wasn't on the thing, but that doesn't mean it's not coming out. I figure if Real American Hero was coming out tomorrow, Diana would have let us know by now. But anyways, we get the next chapter in Cobra Commander's story. It's kind of the book that everybody's talking about because of the controversial inclusion of the folks from Cobra Law. Phil, you weren't on last episode. What's up with that, man? How do you feel?
I feel like I have all these issues, but I have yet to dive into them yet, so I have no opinion on the matter.
Did we just spoil it for you, Phil?
No, I've been seeing all the new stuff anyway.
All right.
And I'm not a big spoiler avoidant guy anyway, so.
We gave you like a month, so I don't feel bad in the least. Ace, you been buying the comics or no?
I don't understand comics. I love them. I think they're super cool, but it's, I wish I knew them. I wish I did. I don't know.
I don't understand the statement. I don't understand comics.
Well, I don't know how to explain it, man. I never really read them as a kid, and they never stuck with me. I mean, I love them. I think they're cool. I love the artwork. I love in seeing them, but I haven't sat and read a comic book in 50 years.
Oh wow.
I mean, I have nothing against them, man. I think they're super cool. I think they're great. I love looking at the artwork, and I love learning about how that I didn't realize until kind of recently that one dude drew them and one dude colored them. You know what I mean? It's like that tells you how stupid I am.
Oh,
But
and you know they usually there's usually somebody else drawing the words in the little boxes.
And I figured that, like I understand the concept of, storytelling and all that stuff and how they come up with that and spread it all out. But I just was like, I just think it's fantastic. It's a great artwork that, again, it's beyond my pay grade.
Ben Conway wants to know, why does Ace
I
hate
don't
comics?
hate them. Ben, I just said I love them. I just said I don't understand them. I'm ignorant. Now we got to have ribs and talk about this thing, man. Oh my God, we have to have peace over ribs.
Yeah, Real American Heroes on the list for tomorrow.
All right, so I totally didn't make a slide for that, but yeah, Real American Hero 304.
Yes.
304. Boom.
And if you missed out on Cobra Commander #1, a second printing of that drops tomorrow.
Yes, with I think 4 variant covers.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I did not miss out on that. I just have to open it.
There's also, I believe, 3 variant covers of this too. So
open your comics, Phil.
For all of the variant covers and extra copies, these books are still selling like hotcakes. They're still selling out. So
yeah,
there's your chance, Ace Allgood. There's your chance to get in. Well, they're printing up more copies so you can read them.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I love it, but I just never. It's like drinking milk, man. I never drank milk because it just never stuck, dude.
I'll see. Yeah, that's 2 ways you're at odds with Racktime Rob. Because he, of course, Racktime Rob is all about the comic books and drinks a gallon of milk a day.
Well, see, that's double say.
Devil dogs.
Well, I got to tell you, I think comic books are super cool, and I love the advertisements as much as I love the comics. You know,
you don't have to justify anything. We're just giving you a hard time.
Oh yeah, I know. Never, Ben. I would never have milk with my cereal, ever. I don't drink milk. It's awful. I have a rule in my life: if it's white, I don't eat it.
Phil just quietly going back to his comic books. Phil's done for today.
Phil's done. I bored the shit out of Phil. Sorry.
You told me to open the comics, so I opened the comic.
Phil, would you like me to tell you what they do with 13 X-Men?
They write them out the next issue.
That's right. They kick 6 of them out the door.
But as you can see, Cobra Commander has a chainsaw in the face problem. And that's a problem that we all run into from time to time, I'm sure. But see how he gets himself out of that by picking up Cobra Commander 2 tomorrow, along with Real American Hero 304, which I thought was next week.
I have to respond to Ben Conway asking me if I didn't like cartoons in the morning. I loved Warner Brothers, man. I got that. I could understand that. Simple.
You got them all defensive. Oh my God.
Look here. Hey, what am I doing right here, pal? What's on my glass? Snidely Whiplash. That's a cartoon. That's Saturday morning cartoon. That's badass right there, isn't it? And I ate my cereal dry.
The great Hans Conried.
There you go. You just brought Rob back in with Snidely Whiplash. You just brought him right back in.
That's love.
I love Rocky and Bullwinkle. Fantastic cartoons.
I'll tell you, man. You want to talk something that pissed my wife off is getting into these. These glasses are awesome.
Hang on, let me get you in the big picture here.
These glasses, I have a whole bunch of them, and they're cheap. You can find them, and they're from the 70s, and they're like $10. They were Pepsi glasses, and they're just great for iced tea and soda pop and all that kind of fun stuff. But they go all kinds of like Warner Brothers characters and some of the Rocky and Bullwinkle types, and super fun.
There was
Underdog.
There was I was in one of the shops in St. Louis when I lived there. Had a bunch of DC characters from that time, and I know they've redone those a million times.
Taco Bell.
But you get now those are not $10. Those some of those DC comic ones, they're first of all they're more like 16. They're more like beer glasses. They're like 16 ounces, but those are like $40-$50, aren't they? I mean, I don't really know, but some of them are harder to find.
At the time, they were not quite that high. I was not buying a whole lot of glassware at that point. So, but they were. It was a number of different characters, and they all had Gil Kane art, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was a particular series that was done later, or if it was something from back in the day, or whatever. But I kind of kick myself every time I see. Every time I because Rob's got a couple of those pint glasses you were talking about just over in the kitchen there.
Well, those I got from the Warner Brothers store when they were in operation.
Right. And the rare occasions where I have a beer, I always make sure to take the Flash pint glass and give it a spin.
That's Carmine and Fantino.
Yes. But anyways. Long story short, leading nowhere. But I always kind of feel bad about leaving them on that shelf in that store in St. Louis that day.
Yeah, another one will turn up.
I'm sure somewhere down the line.
Well, you'll break them. That's the thing about these damn glasses is you'll break them and you go, "Oh, I broke it." And it takes you 6 months to find another Snidely Whiplash that's not $40. It's $10. You know.
But think of how happy that'll make your wife.
That's right.
So even there, it's kind of a win.
It's like, oh, you brought another one of those damn glasses in here.
It's kind of a win at that point, Ace. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
It's not you're not losing. Some days that's enough. Next news item. In addition to those wonderful 2 books that are coming out tomorrow, we got some Skybound bits. Penciler Paul Pelletier will be handling art duties for G.I. Joe Real American Hero on issue 306, which has been solicited for May. For everybody freaking out about the time between 305 and 306, I think there's a month that gets missed in there. Again, relax. Probably just delays. No big deal. A 5-page preview of Real American Hero 304 has been posted at Skybound. I guess that's why I didn't see it being on sale. I don't know. And then, of course, the Cobra Commander second printing, also available tomorrow. So if you missed issue 1, it's a good chance to just go and get them both. Get some nice alternative cover art. Charlie Garrison lets us know there's a lot of DC glasses to Kokomo Toys. Damn you, Charlie Garrison! Curse you!
Every time he tries to get out, they keep dragging him back in.
They keep pulling me back in.
Mike's getting up early tomorrow and making the trek to Kokomo Toys.
No. Jeff Butler says, I learned about Snidely Whiplash as a kid thanks to Dairy Queen having him as an antagonist against the DQ Kid. Okay.
Makes sense.
I didn't grow up around Dairy Queen, so I didn't see any of those.
Wow, you poor thing.
Dairy Queen was not big on Long Island.
No, we had Carvel.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had Carvel with Cookie Puss narrated by Tom Carvel in his wholesome gravelly voice.
That's kind of cool.
Like there's a Patton Oswalt bit about Tom Carvel saying it's not Father's Day unless you're throwing your shoulder at a joint trying to cut into a delicious ice cream cake. So
now, Phil, do they have Dairy Queens out in California?
They do, but a lot of them have closed. So
that's disappointing.
There's one within walking distance of us here.
Wow, that's living.
That's the Midwest for you, man. Can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Dairy Queen.
That's right.
That's a strange metaphor to throw there, but what the hell?
Hey, in some of the towns we drive through in Dad,
like
Dairy Queen's their finest restaurant.
Yeah, Dairy. That's so you get up into the more rural parts of the state, you got some 3- and 4-star Dairy Queens up there. Anywho, Next news item.
Pardon me.
We throw that out there right at the right time for Rob to die.
Yeah.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the news.
Not so
news-
fast. Your favorite time is when they drop news during the show.
Oh hell!
Oh, what happened?
Hold on.
Oh Phil, you know
Is
how
the
to share.
comment you sent us, Bill?
You know how to share stuff, right?
Here it is.
All right. All right, there we get it in there. So what are we looking at, Phil?
A new 3-0 Snake Eyes. That is, let's see, is this going to, hold on a second. We gotta,
Wah.
wah, wah.
So what happens
Okay.
when you go off the rundown, Phil? This is what happens.
Boom, boom,
So-
Yep.
So what does that Snake Eyes cost? $300, $200, $100?
There, it's let's see. It is
Oh, wow.
$159.99. Yeah, based on the 1991 look.
Oh, jeez.
3-0
hockey
presents the
mask
latest
Snake
addition to the
Eyes.
G.I. Joe collection, Fig 016 Commando Snake Eyes, inspired by Hasbro's heroic character from the iconic cartoon and toy series. Pre-order starts on the 28th of February at 10 a.m. Hong Kong time at 30 Store, 30 Tmall, and distribution partners worldwide. So, yeah.
There you go.
It's Rangers goalie Snake Eyes.
So, like, tell me this, Phil. Are you going to buy that thing?
Probably not. I already have a 3-0 Snake Eyes behind me, and I don't need.
And how is it? How is this different than the one you have?
Well, the one I have is roughly based on Snake Eyes version 2 with the visor. It's an all black uniform and strap across the torso. This guy has the the hockey mask and the web gear with the blue vest.
And about how much was that one when you bought it? How old is that one? How long has that one been around?
2 or 3 years old now.
Yeah, they haven't been doing 3-0 for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it was 160. Somewhere between. It's still 3 digits though.
It was like $130 probably, or
Something
something
like
around
that,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think 139 is where they was
That makes
checked
sense.
in originally.
Interesting. Okay, it's cool. Thanks for sharing. I like that stuff.
But there you go, and that's the news.
That's awesome. that
Finally.
photo.
Brought to you by the folks at the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. Again, they have lots of great news coming soon about Chunky Tank Kitty and the Meowler Tank and how that relates to Joe Fest and us being there and all that other cool stuff. So be sure to stay tuned to that wonderful program and of course, our wonderful program for more. We'll certainly let you know as more details become available. Let me find my news button to play us out on the end of the news. And be sure to stay with us. We got a quick message from our good friends and wonderful sponsors at Kokomo Toys.
We buy, sell, and trade vintage and modern toys. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, DC, and more. Located in beautiful downtown Kokomo, Indiana, we are open every Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's a theme park of nostalgia. Join the thousands of people who have traveled from all over the Midwest for over a decade to buy and sell with us. Get your geek on.
Go here. Got all kinds of fun video doodads to button around with. All right, come on. There we go. So, yeah, this is what we're looking at here. I guess I should put up the funny slide that I put up there first. But there's the welcome page to vintage3djoes.com. And there is our guest host, Ace Allgood, sitting in there. You're not going to find that one online because we did that here. And that is
That's
tonight's
pretty
news.
awesome.
That is tonight's biggest news, so to speak.
Oh, that's awesome.
Our friend Ace Allgood is taking over as the head honcho of sorts at vintage3djoes.com.
Well, I want to first of all say a lot of things about Matt McKeeby, the guy. All right, so think about this. I don't know if anybody you guys know what Vintage 3D Joe's is, but Carson, we all know Carson has 3D Joe's, right?
Right.
And then Matt McKeeby had the idea for the 50th anniversary of GI Joe to do a basically a website about the 12-inch GI Joes, and so. Basically on his spare time, he did this whole great identification webpage for the 12-inch line of GI Joe, and it is Vintage 3D Joe's, and it is truly an amazing website. Well, as we all do at certain points in our lives, things kind of change and things get different, and he decided that he wanted to do something a little bit different. So he and I had been friends for a long time. And he came to me and said, "Hey, I'm interested in selling, getting rid of my collection, as well as selling off vintage3djoes.com, because I need someone else to kind of take the reign from me when I have a little, that has a little bit more energy for it now." Now he's not quitting quitting the hobby. He's just kind of taking a step back and not having enough energy to do it. He's got some other things he's into. He's an amazingly talented painter and model maker. And so he's kind of focusing on that and says, "Hey, I want to pass the torch on to you, Ace, and let you take over the Vintage 3D Joe." So anyway, that's the great news that I'm happy to share here on What's on Joe Mind. And I'm just thrilled if anybody guys have any ideas for it. I know Mike's not a big fan of the wood grain background, but I will also say that I'm just happy to spread the 1/6 love of GI Joe, and I think that this is a great site. It's a great free site, and it's chock full of advertising or anything like that. And it's basically just about trying to get you to learn about 1/6 GI Joe. So anyway. I really am excited about it. I'm really thrilled about it, and I'm just happy that that Matt and I were able to do this and take this to the next level. So, again, it's a great identification site for all your 1/6 scale stuff. And I know some of you guys aren't into that, but sometimes you come across that stuff, and sometimes you're like, "What in the bejesus is this kind of stuff?" And also, I would also say to you guys, if you ever do find stuff, that there's a great way to, and you have questions about it, feel free to email me and say, "Hey, what is this? And what do I have here?" And because I'm like you guys, I love talking about toys and I love talking about GI Joe. So I just really strongly encourage anyone that wants to learn more about 1/6 scale stuff and to go to this, and especially vintage stuff. I mean, we don't really have anything after 1976, but it's 64 to 76 US stuff, and it's a great way to learn about it, and super fun.
I'll go ahead. I'll scroll the email that we have for you. That's on your business card.
Well, I will tell you this. Again, I'm a big sport. I'm a big fan of how the hobby ties together. I may not be into comic books, but I'm into the whole GI Joe line, and I'm into the story, and I'm into the concept behind it. And I really like how GI Joe has kind of grown over the years and has kind of transitioned. And I love how someone like Philip has, Phil's got 12-inch stuff and 1/6 scale or 3 3/4 inch stuff. So it's kind of fun to see that kind of a transition. And Phil and I have talked many times over the years about my love for 12-inch stuff and all that. So, again, I just love sharing about it and talking about it and trying to find one more person to fall in love with it like I have.
And dare I say, if you're curious about the 1/6 scale Joes, this is a much less expensive way to get the answers you're looking for, as opposed to going out and buying a bunch of them. So
God, that's really true, and I think that's kind of the genius of this site is that it's basic information, and it's trying to educate and not try to take advantage of anybody, and trying to really. I will say this: I think there's a lot of there's a lot of great website or a lot of great Facebook pages that are out there that people are willing to share information, but there's also some unscrupulous cats out there that'll kind of help take advantage of it. And I just think from an information standpoint, I think that Vintage 3D Joe's is just a great way to learn. And again, I'm going to keep it free. I'm going to keep it open source. I'm going to try to modify it when I see fit, and I'm going to try to add additional stuff to it as well. And because I think there's a whole there's a whole way to take it, and there's just so much more information to get out there. It's kind of funny. We've always, and then I know I'm also working with other guys about trying to create a database of even more modern 12-inch GI Joe, but that's a whole nother Magilla and a monkey that we have to address at another time.
Good luck with that.
That's the truth.
Exactly. Well, Phil and I, talking about Super Joe pre or post. Super Joe was post 76. Super Joe came out in 77, 78. And if Steve Stovall has, Super Joe's 3dsuperjoes.com. And he's got that site together and has a complete line of all that stuff. And that's run by Steve Stovall, who actually runs the Louisville show. So the KY GI Joe show that we all love to enjoy.
Bringing it full circle.
Exactly. Are you going to add the real life soldiers that they did in the late 90s, early, like Audie Murphy and Roy? Again, I think Josiah, what ultimately the goal is to try to acquire all that information. That's something that Greg Auteur actually was one of the designers and worked on a lot of those figures. Yep. And yes, we are trying to compile that information. It's like Phil says, good luck with that. And but I will say this: you got someone like Greg Auteur, you got someone like Daryl DePriest interested in it, and that's two guys that have a lot of information just between the two of them. So some of the guys that like myself that just happen to have too much of that stuff in their closets can help them kind of help piece together some of those crazy sets that were put together there at the end. There was a lot of product. I mean, we were talking loosely at the very beginning of the show about classifieds and how how they put out so much product that it kind of hurts our wallet. That's part of my complaint about the 2000s and the 90s stuff is there's almost so much product that we lost a little track of it, and it was hard to follow it and hard to chase it all. And,
right.
I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't know. I'm kind of a completist, and I'd like to buy, I like to buy a dozen things a year, not maybe, 65. You know what I mean? So,
or at least find a happy medium between those two, right?
Yeah. Something that keeps you kind of interested. I mean, I really will say that the great thing about the classified is it's made going back to the stores kind of fun because, there was a period of time from even, I didn't really get into the 3 3/4 stuff to chase all those and all that stuff, but it's fun to see the different sets and to see what's out and where they go and all that stuff. And that's something that I certainly enjoyed in the 90s and the 2000s doing that with the 12-inch stuff.
Now, we could direct to the site here for folks who aren't as familiar with the vintage the vintage stuff. Or I mean, vintage is such a generic label at this point, right? Because we're predominantly 3 3/4 inch guys here. So that's what we're used to calling vintage because there was the modern stuff that came after that, and now there's classified after that. So,
right.
But to bring it all the way back to the stuff that was the 12-inch Joes, it's broken down into 3 basic trees there. I was wondering if you could help shed some light on why those are the way that they are. We've got military era, which was starting in 1964. Then the 1969 collection kind of has its own Breakout, and then we've got Adventure Team after that. So could you take us through that
Yeah,
progression a little bit?
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it's quite fascinating. And if you think about it from a cultural standpoint, it's very interesting. So you basically have your military era, which is your 64 to really 68. And what that was it was your based on the Korean War equipment, and they put together these military sets that were based on the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. And that was during the heat of that was really during the beginning of the Vietnam War. And what happens in 1968 is the Tet Offensive. And so therefore public opinion is starting to shift about the military and all that. And the Hasbro guys actually saw that and had some foresight to see that we should shift some of our thinking to an adventure theme, where it is more of less of a military thing and more of an adventure thing. And what's 1969 really is the transition between the military era and the adventure era. And so what they're doing is they're using a lot of items from the military era and putting an adventure theme on them before they're completely switched over in 1970. Now, in 1970, they also added the fuzz-headed, which is the lifelike hair, which added which is kind of funny in its own way, and which is basically electrostatic flocking, and then they added later in, I believe it was 1974, they added the Kung Fu grip hands, which is the rubber, kind of hands that are now all are rotted off and destroyed because they don't last up over time. But
nothing good came out of the mid 70s, Ace. Nothing good.
Oh, Bullet Man did, guys. Come on. Anyway,
I mean, I was saying that ironically as somebody born smack in the middle of the 70s, but okay.
Right dead smack in the middle. And the thing is so but anyway, I think it's kind of interesting to see and then all the Adventure Team stuff, man, you're getting into yellows and oranges and bright blues and bright colors and that really hip and peaceful hippie kind of stuff, hippie kind of colors. And then you've got some, physically kind of challenging accessory sets that would probably not work past physics class, but sure look cool. Like your rocket pack and your backpack with a car and all that kind of stuff that, who would carry a car on a backpack? I don't know, but it sure made a great toy accessory set,
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
They revisited that one about 89, so I can't say that the idea was dead.
And we never had an RV vehicle that doubled as a base, so.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the great thing too, is they made some really amazing sets and vehicles and stuff like that in the set.
They just got a sand crawler.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I think that was kind of all, they obviously were taking a lot of items from their military era and just kind of refurbish and recoloring them and tweaking them out. And then, like anything, like you can see progression through the series, the quality of the manufacturer and all that from 1964 versus the quality of the manufacturer in 1975 certainly cheapened. And they're always trying to make it, save a nickel as they could, try to make a little bit more money. But, that's part of the fun and that's part of the challenge and it's part of the excitement, finding all the different stuff like that.
I know that a lot of fans our age have called for the return of Adventure Team style themes, as gun culture kind of gets a little out of control here in the U.S. As a means to bring younger fans back into G.I. Joe, or bring fans in at a younger age, 5, 6, 7 years old, like Transformers is able to do with rescue bots and things like that. You think that holds any water?
I do. I mean, I got to tell you, there's something really exciting. I mean, to me, I wish they would really do an Adventure Team of the Classified. I mean, that would be so awesome, and that would bring in a whole new era of kids, I think, into it, and people to pay attention to it. But I also think that there's something to be said for hunting for tigers and chasing gorillas, and going to see the big snake and all that kind of stuff, because I mean, I don't want to get political, and I'm not a political guy because I love the military stuff. I love the historical perspective of all that kind of stuff. But I also believe in the creativity of GI Joe, and I had a creative field in my life, and I cannot speak to anything in my childhood that prepared me for creativity like GI Joe did, because I was able to come up with whatever story I wanted it to be. I don't care if I was going to be a military story today, I was going to go hunt tigers tomorrow, I was going to hunt gorillas, or I was going to go attack the cat. You know what I mean? It all was coming up with the whole story that I wanted to come up with, and I think that was imperative in my creativity, and I hope and I want that creativity for children today. And I don't care if it's this big or this big or this big. I just want kids to have the opportunity. And I think that the Adventure Team is a very nice soft landing place for some people that want to do that kind of a toy.
Right.
And Bullet Man.
And Bullet Man.
And Space Neanderthals.
Yeah, I mean, again, let's talk about the intruders. I mean, that's kind of weird. It's a weird kind of a little bad guy, but it's a bad guy that we can't, it's a little bit more neutral, I would assume we could describe it as.
Yeah, he's an alien, space
alien.
Yeah. I have long said that if you're tuning into GI Joe and all you're seeing is military drab, then you're missing at least half the story.
Absolutely.
It's a great backdrop for what goes on. But it's really just, it's a detail. It's a plot point.
Right. I mean, look at and I go back to Palatoy and go back to just look at the Space Rangers, man. The Space Rangers are so awesome, and it's 12-inch space guys, man. It's cool, it's fun, it's neat. It's just like it's the precursor to kind of ROM, and it's like you can see how Cobra kind of can come out of that and all go to the next step and all. Anyway,
Torak in South America.
Oh yeah, and Condor, all that stuff. I got one of those. That's great. I love that. Listen, that South American stuff, that's a whole nother thing that's just amazing. All that, anything below the Rio Grande River of GI Joe is pretty impressive. I don't know if you guys get into the Letty stuff from. There's a whole Letty line, and I think they did 3 3/4 GI Joe as well too. So
I know they had some interesting looking Migos.
Yeah, everything's interesting, and I mean they do Star Wars, and they did. They did Letty 3 GI Joe, didn't the 3 3/4 GI Joe, I believe, but they certainly.
I don't think so. We had Last Light, and I'm tripping now.
I don't. Anyway, but I know the 12-inch
Estrella
GI Joe stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't think of that.
Estrella's. I mean, that's Estrella's kind of the pinnacle of the south of the border stuff because their quality is so great. Anyway, then you get the India. I know the Indian GI Joe stuff, the 3 3/4 GI Joe stuff. When I was in India in the '90s, I went looking for some factories. Like supposedly there were, some warehouse full of 3 3/4 GI Joe or somewhere, and I was out digging for that stuff for a few weeks. That was fun.
They're still making them. They're just put out. Fun School just put out like a dozen new vamps.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now we know where all the molds are.
3 new vamps and a Mobat of all things. They put out another tank.
Hey, if they're selling that stuff, and are they cool?
I mean, they're fine.
It's the same. It's the racing Jeep, just done in different colors. But they're really fully taking advantage of an off-road racing Jeep because you can fill an entire racetrack with them now.
With different colors, every variation.
Yeah, exactly.
like space capsules from the 12-inch line. There's so many variations. It's funny.
So again, if you've got questions, comments, concerns for Ace, we've got that email address going down below. That is ace@giace.com.
But that works pretty perfect.
What else do we need to know about your plans with vintage3djoes.com, Ace?
Well, I just want to help spread the word, and really my main goal here is to shout out the love for Matt McKeevy for really creating the entire site and all the work that he did, because again, as Phil and I know, it takes a lot to make these like identification websites, and
oh yeah,
I certainly I feel I hope by talking to you guys about this, I can spur a little bit of interest in 1/6 scale GI Joe. Again, it's not for everybody, but you guys are going to come across it, and I am it's like me coming across the 3 3/4 stuff. I always have questions about it, and I spend a little time searching and trying to find out identification and trying to understand the process and what it all is. It's a great genre of toys, and if you think about it, it's daddy to the little guy, so there's nothing wrong with having the little daddy around to show the little guys how everything works out.
Right. There is again, there's no shortage, just the depth and breadth of that classic GI Joe line from the 60s and 70s. It's people don't give it enough credit. Like a lot of credit goes to GI Joe from the 80s, right? In regards to just the sheer number of things out there. You got tanks and jeeps and planes and what have you. But in a lot of ways, we're seeing it there on screen now. That's a fire truck.
Yes, sir. That's the Crash Crew from '67. It's an amazing set, isn't it?
I mean,
a lot of play value.
Yeah, you're getting into all kinds of both military and civilian type vehicles and figures and outfits, and just like, again, we're 80s Joe folks, but the blueprints for what we love is all over that vintage line. So even if you're not a collector, by all means, go over there and just do some fun kind of homework and just learn about what came before. It's a rich history in our hobby. It didn't start with us, certainly. And it's not going to end with us either. So by all means, we owe Ace a debt of gratitude for keeping that history alive for us.
One thing that I think is kind of funny too is, like, you're a little bit of a crossover. Everybody knows who Ron Rudat is. I mean, he's a great guy that shows up to shows, and it's just a very amazing, talented artist. Well, when he was a kid right out of school, got his first job at Hasbro, what was he doing? He was working on the very end of the 12-inch line, and he did the comic for the Seawolf, the submarine that came out in '76. If you look at the comic, the Seawolf comic, he signs all the stuff. It's signed at the bottom corner, Rudat. And there's also the big trapper vehicle that came out, one of those big yellow vehicles that the Intruder was trapped into. There's like these cardboard slits that went in there that have like television monitors and all that kind of stuff, drawn by Ron Rudat, which it's kind of cool that he ended up being, the guy, one of the guys in the '80s with all of his artwork. Yeah. And what a talented and humble man. So, and a fan of the collectors too.
And you have to respect the toy line that literally invented the action figure space.
Well, right. Again, and if you want to take it a step further, it started the Transformers. I mean, 12-inch GI Joe is the Transformer daddy, and and we could go to a whole discussion about that, but and I'd be happy to show you that I actually have one somewhere in the back of the thing over there, but the clear, the first one, and it's taken a GI Joe body to make the first Transformer, and that's cool, man.
I've said it before, but the Hasbro family tree bends inward.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
Phil getting deep.
Yeah.
Firefly is on saying
That's
my
awesome.
first Joe is 1982. It was a complete adventure team land adventure from a garage sale. I remember having it when I saw my first G.I. Joe comic commercial and didn't understand who the land adventurer was. Hey, you heard us talking about it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Rob and I had Bullet Man and had no idea what was going on there. So, yeah, we get you.
And I'll just tell you guys, in 1982, I was 15 and pissed off because the 3 3/4 G.I. Joe didn't have any clothes. I was mad.
It's all molded on.
Like, what is this crap? You know,
we understood that these sweet bastards showed up and you couldn't play dress up anymore. But whatever.
Yeah,
Take the helmet off.
Yeah.
That visor goes up and down.
And that's when they were like doing this, right? I mean,
well, they had elbows.
They had elbows. Elbows and knees were in. They just didn't have the swivel arms yet. That was our kung fu grip, Ace. That was our
right.
Swivel arm battle grip, baby.
That's right. Your moment of excitement. Yeah.
I remember
but even that articulation came from Mego, which got their articulation from Microman, which came from G.I. Joe.
Doesn't that just make you say, why didn't you look at the first one to begin with, you know? I mean, we could get in the argument too. Why did they change it? I mean, why did they change it to begin with? I mean, why couldn't it have been a 12-inch figure throughout the whole thing?
Because Star Wars changed the model.
I know, I understand that.
The oil crisis of the 70s changed the model, really.
Yeah, but that gets in the way of the bean counters a little bit. Look at Barbie. Barbie did it. Why did Barbie stayed the course?
Because Barbie was 5 points of articulation until very recently.
Yeah, there's truth to that.
I think the more of it is Star Wars, because Star Wars changed the play pattern, because everybody who went to Star Wars, not only did they want the characters, they also wanted the spaceships. And to do that at a 12, and even, the previous big one was 8 inches. To do that at an 8-inch or 12-inch scale,
it's not practical.
One's buying it. Every vehicle's the flag at that point, Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, to get to get your vehicles in, you had to go smaller.
Yeah,
and things like Fisher Price and the Adventure People had kind of shown the way to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even Mego was going
any number of times that when they were designing that first wave of Joes in 1981 for release in 82, they anticipated it being a vehicles line, and the figures were just going to be generic army guys to man the vehicles, and then there was somewhere in there a creative turn was taken.
Thanks, Denny.
Yeah, I think when they went to Marvel, and Marvel said, we can make a comic out of this, but we need characters to do it,
Well, the TV show made a difference. The TV show was genius, and that eventually pissed them off, right? Or pissed off somebody.
Well, doesn't it always?
Parents.
It's television. That's what we do.
Yeah, and then here we are trying to relive it. It was just kind of funny if you think about it.
But so Ace, that was the end of the show here. We're normally doing a segment called What We Got In. Have you gotten anything cool lately? Anything you want to show off to the folks at home?
Wow, that's a great one. Well,
we'll let you look for a second.
Honestly, man, I'll straight up tell you, I bought Matt McKeevy's collection, the guy that did the thing, and it's like, how can I say? Look around, man. Yeah, man, the whole deal, and I
all of it. Do you see this? All of it.
I mean, again, it's like I'm upgrading and going through my stuff, and some of my stuff's better, and having a great thing to sell, and all this, and that was one thing Matt wanted to do too, was to get his collection into other collectors' hands, and I mean, I know that sounds a little bit weird, but it's like, I don't, he didn't want it to, he knew that I wasn't going to hoard it. I want to sell it, and I want to share it, and I'm going to keep one of everything, but I'm not keeping 3 of them, so, and that's part of the spreading the joy and the love and reminding us of, like, we all want Christmas, when we were 7 years old.
Sometimes that hoarding thing gets a little tough, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Phil, what do you have? What'd you get in?
Well, it's been a little while since I was last on here, but
Right.
I have this little 4-pack of Ahsoka themed droids.
We get you in the big window here. There we go.
From Disneyland. We got Chopper on this side. We got Huyang there. We also have C4, R4C, and RD3. They're really just background, but still nice to see new stuff.
You got to fill out your droid pack with somebody.
Yeah. And then I really don't have this.
Correct. Are we correct in assuming that you've been to Disneyland? Is this?
Well, I did pick it up there. Yes. And then
the joke there, Ace. He's always at Disneyland. It's weird that we've got him in his apartment because he's usually at Disneyland.
I'll make a note of that.
Right.
I don't have the space to show it here in this little corner, but if you know who this guy is, you understand what else I got in.
Oh, well, yeah.
And if you know what that means, there was a live stream I did real last minute yesterday on Articulated Points that needs more views because there were times where I was talking to myself on there. So go watch that because I put together just a little playset.
Yeah, you got about 81 cubic feet of playset there? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So if you want to see Phil talk to made up characters in his head and put together the new Eternia playset, it's right there on Articulated Points.
It's kind of like when Bob talks to the meat on Bob's Burgers.
Hi, Phil. Come on out of that box, Eternia. All right. Okay, Phil. It's cozy in here, though.
I was so lonely. All right, that's all I got from me because I'm not topping that.
We're making cat noises.
Meow. 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 Meow.
Get in.
That's all I got.
Rack time, Rob. What'd you get in?
It's been such a long time since we stopped early enough to do, what I got in. I think the last classified figure I got in was Shadow Tracker.
There you go.
I bet this guy gurgles when he talks. Anyway.
Probably so. I don't imagine he says much as a result.
Yeah. But
That's all you
anything else Joe related I got was comic-y. So
right. It's mostly that stuff.
And we've covered that.
Yeah, and we haven't done what we got in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel bad putting Ace on the spot like that, but what can you do?
Yeah, my last two times I was on here, we didn't do it.
Oh, yeah, I get Button Junkyard. Oh, you would tell me. Oh, yes. Oh.
All right, we normally have Weber hanging around. He talks too much. I guess that brings us to this. Yeah, we're finally off the schneid in February. Let me get myself in the big window here. But yeah, there he is. Number 143. And he's got all his stuff, and he's a real good one, actually. I haven't bought a whole lot in recent weeks because I went to Kentucky and spent a lot of money there. So it was good to maybe just scale it back for a little bit. Budgeting is important. Budgeting sucks. It makes me cry on the inside. But you were there, Ace. You saw the money. It flowed freely.
Yeah, out of our hands.
It flowed like the spice.
Mike Big Bucks Irizarry.
Right. Something like that.
I was really impressed with the amount of variety of stuff at that show.
There really was. If you wanted 12-inch stuff, you were going to be happy. If you wanted 3 3/4 stuff, you're going to be happy. If you wanted 4-inch modern age stuff, you were going to be happy. If you wanted classified, you were going to be happy. If you wanted Sigma 6, you're probably not a happy person in general, but there were still a few people willing to help you out.
I did see some Sigma 6 stuff.
There was some. I teased the Sigma 6 people. But those were fantastic toys.
The Sigma 6 fans are the happiest of all because the toy line has stopped. It's a very small line and they can get all of it. And then they can be done. They're out. They're free.
For the completest.
Yeah, Dustin Jeffrey asks, did Rob get mutton junket? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Get the mountain junkyard for him to poop on.
Yeah, it's all it is.
It's like I'm crushing your head.
Right. Well, I mean, Junkyard's resemblance to Triumph the Insult comic dog cannot be ignored. So that's what Rob has done.
He needs a stale cigar and bow tie.
I'm looking at that. Yeah, I am. Yeah. The bow tie and the cigar. We're going for that.
Mark Gerwig will be on the show in a couple of weeks, Rob. You can make your pitch for a Junkyard loadout.
Yeah.
When he gets here.
It's a Yeti.
That's your abominable snowman.
It's a Bumble.
He bounces too.
There you go.
Yeah, he does. That's your pygmy gorilla in a white for the abominable snowman. See, it could be anything you wanted to in the adventure team.
Ace All Good Yeti, shout out.
It's Solivar, the ruler of Gorilla City.
Oh, I'd just like to shout out to you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I just love participating, and I thank you very much for having me on. It's great to see all y'all, and great to talk to some of you folks. And I appreciate
for the record, so everybody knows, Ace hunted me down at the Kentucky show, saying your show has been a little non-12-inch Joe centric lately, and we need to make an episode that's more 12-inch Joe centric. And I was like, well, okay, so let's get the scheduling book out. So here it is. Here is the fruit of all of his labors.
That's right. I forced my way into the show, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much for humoring me and putting up with me. And I know some of you guys are like, what on earth was that crap? But I appreciate it.
Once the trank dart wore off, I was fine. It was a pleasure.
I just love seeing the calendar. It's great.
Oh the man, animation. We got a link for you then.
We got a story for you.
The gentleman who does that goes by the professional name AbsorbVids. He's done about 30 of them to this point, and
I am not immune.
We have a supercut.
Wow!
On our channel, so you need to check that one out. I'll shoot you a link when we're done here. But Phil, who you shouting out to?
As always, shouting out Patrick Stewart. He's the other half of the Articulated Points Equation. We're a podcast that does deep dives into action figures of all kinds, and not just G.I. Joe, but there's a lot of it. And if you saw yesterday's video, Masters of the Universe is now in that equation as well.
Well, yeah, I think
aren't your furry shorts?
Aren't you sleeping in the Eternia throne room at this point? Is because that thing's just that big?
Oh, if only there was enough room. It's more of a lounger that hangs from the ceiling.
All right, fair enough.
And also viewers like you.
Rack time, Rob.
Yes, shout out to the viewers out there, and thank you for tuning in each and every week. You wacky kids, you.
What else you got, Rob?
That's it.
You guys are quick on shout outs. I'm going to give a shout out to our missing host, the Honcho Mark Weber, on assignment with the family somewhere where there's skiing. I forget where. I'd have to go look. I don't know. Maybe he's in your neck of the woods. Lodge. Maybe he's in your neck of the woods, Ace. Maybe you just poke your head out the window, see if you see Mark stumbling.
Hey, Mark. Yeah,
just call out Mark. He'll respond.
He'll be out ice fishing if he's here in Minnesota, I believe. So
he's in the
that's the thing to do.
Right.
Oh, skiing in the Poconos.
Give a shout out to our other host in absentia, who we've had some fun with tonight at her expense, Joe Colton, and of course the Wristlock Wes Whitlock and baby Mango Habanero. Give a shout out to all of our wonderful viewers at home. If you're catching us live, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Be sure you hit the button over there to like the video and hit the button over there to subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,400 subscribers. We've passed it 5 or 6 times now. We just can't seem to stay over that mark. So let's just go ahead
with your emotions.
Let's just go ahead and click the button once and call it a day.
You programmed the bot wrong.
If you're catching us on Facebook, We appreciate that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up or a heart or a little huggy guy. We do love little huggy guy. But those little emoticons are what makes the world go around over on Facebook. But also make sure you make your way over to YouTube at some point. Subscribe to the channel because that really helps us out there as well. If you're catching us on audio replay, wherever you get your fine podcasts, we appreciate you as well. That does remind me, we do have a quick shout out for the folks over at Bandcamp. I got a reader. We're excited to feature That's Really Funny podcast for anyone who hates censorship. It is called Bandcamp, and the hilarious duo of Jennifer and Dan host it. Bandcamp is a comedy podcast where they read banned books and try to figure out why they were banned in the first place. Here's our overlay. There we go. This season, they are reading Mark Twain's classic, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, one chapter at a time out loud. I think they're up to chapter 35, so you got some catching up to do if you haven't been tuning in. If you think banning books will lead to a not-so-great future, and it will, and you want to get your reading in without all that pesky reading, then Bandcamp is for you. Whether you're lazy like Dan or curious like Jennifer, make sure you check out Bandcamp. You'll love it. And it saves you from doing all that reading. Look for Bandcamp with 2 N's on your favorite podcast player and subscribe today. And let's all get banned together.
I just think Phil did a wonderful job of placing his head right at the perfect spot in that photograph.
He has his work cut out for him because Mark's done that the last couple of weeks. So the bar was set pretty high.
Scratch your head.
You know, Mark's got a large head that reflects light very well. So Phil had his work cut out for him.
The underdog here.
Well, I appreciate the attempt.
Give a shout out to our wonderful
night with a full moon.
Shut up. Give a shout out to our wonderful friends and sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Real quickly, we'll sing the theme song. Kokomo Toys. Kokomo Toys.
Kokomo.
Look at Ace Allgood getting in the middle of things there. Most of the time, our guests just look at us funny when we sing the Kokomo Toys theme song. Not Ace. He's in there. He doesn't even know the words.
Nope. But I love the Kokomo guys. They're good.
Get there fast, and then we'll take it slow.
A shout out to our good friends, or rather, our good friend HCC 788, Brian Lower. Enjoy your time off, sir. We appreciate you. Someday you'll do a lead-in for us again. Someday. But instead, in the meantime, you just have all of the wonderful programming on the Superstation. Stay tuned for the conclusion of that Charlie's Angels marathon coming your way tonight.
Was it the one where they go to Hawaii?
Didn't they do that like every 6 weeks?
Yeah, probably. It was an Aaron Spelling show.
I mean, really, if I had the cast of Charlie's Angels on my show, I'd be sending them Hawaii every 6 weeks. That's what I'd be doing.
For sweeps.
Ain't no lie.
They can see Bosley in a banana hammock.
Right? No, wrong.
Oh, that David Doyle.
Incorrect. But that's all we got. That's it for this week. Be sure to tune in next week for our next stunning 2-bit slime show. What's on Joe Mind? We'll be back with a guest that is not quite confirmed yet, so I don't want to necessarily pub that too early and not have him show up. So we're working on it. Hopefully somebody will be here. The honcho will be back. Phil won't. Probably not Ace either. Waiting for reactions. Nothing.
Yeah, unless we can't get that guest, in which case,
then I'll be back. Hey.
All right. In which case, Ace and Phil will fight to the death.
I'm okay with not doing that.
Yeah.
See, right there, Ace. Easy win.
Yeah.
Easy win. You will kill Phil easily.
I don't like this.
Just stand close to Eternia with a hammer and just go, submit.
As our friend Vagon likes to say, hey, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 9 for another thrilling episode of What's on Joe Mind. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Yo, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Hey, no sweat, Ace. Anytime.
Appreciate
Anytime.
it.